My name is Richard Larson, and I'm a professor retired from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Now, what made me major in operations research? Well, basically in high school, I noticed that I really enjoyed physics. And I didn't enjoy chemistry, and I viewed biology as a mystery, as a lot of things to memorize, and I couldn't do that. But with physics, you just had to know a few basic things firmly, and you could really understand the world in which physics lives. And so operations research really is the physics of the world in which we operate. It's the physics of traffic lights, physics of buses going down a bus route, the physics of airplanes flying from point to point. And so operations research is a branch of physics, and I fell in love with it. I'm still in love with it today. What kind of problems does my discipline deal with? I call operations research the world's most important invisible profession. And people say, well, what is operations research? I say, well, it's very easy. It's research on operations. And I know that sounds facetious and trivial, but really it's not. It really what it is. It's so the operations of buses going down a route. And because the thing with physics of buses, if any of you live in a city with public buses, you'll notice you wait and wait and wait sometimes, and then 2 or 3 buses come at the same time. That's the natural physics for buses to clump together. And if we had more time, I could explain why that works. And also, when you're waiting at an intersection and you see cars coming, usually it's just not one car that stops you, it's 3 or 4 in a row, and there's a reason for the physics of that. So it's the physics of the world in which we live, and I love that, and I'm so happy that I ever discovered that people introduced me to operations research. I didn't think I was qualified to go into academia to become a professor. When I was finishing my PhD, my academic advisor, Professor Alvin Drake of electrical engineering, unfortunately he has passed away, said, Dick, why don't you join the faculty as an assistant professor for a couple of years before you go off and make your millions? And I thought, wow, I never knew that would be a possibility. And so I leaped at it, and I became an MIT lifer. An MIT lifer is somebody who starts at age 18 as a freshman and is still there. What is some of my most notable achievements in operations research? And I would say they're both theoretical and applied. I was the inventor of something called the hypercube queuing model, which is a mathematical model. It can be solved correctly on the computer to model urban police departments, or emergency medical services, not fire departments, but those other two. And also something called the Q inference engine, which we don't have time today for me to talk about. So they're the theoretical ones. And then in implementation, in fact, I used to spend all Fridays at my consulting firm off campus. And at one time we had over 30 people, and we did a lot of work with New York City. And so in New York City, I'd say the thing I'm most proud of is when 9/11, not 9/11, September 11th, but when 911 was first instituted as a 3-digit emergency number, because in New York City you used to have 7 different numbers depending on which borough you were in and what part of a borough to call emergency, and plus times 3, because you had different ones for police, fire, and ambulance. So they reduced this all down to 911, and so I started reading the New York Times, and I saw notices there. I called the mayor's 911 office the other day, and it rang for 18 minutes. I hung up and thought I had the wrong number, so I called again, and after 20 minutes, it was somebody answered, "Police emergency, may I help you?" And so I was brought in there to help them solve the problem. And I'm very proud of that, because I worked with 2 lieutenants side by side. We lived in the department for a month, and we collected data, we talked to dispatchers, we talked to telephone operators, and we restructured the entire deployment and scheduling of these 911 operators, and drastically reduced any delays in response. And I don't know, I can't factually indicate this, because I don't have the facts, but I think we probably saved some lives as a result of shortening those delays. Well, how do I give back to the community? The thing I just talked about, the 911 in New York as an example, and we documented all that so that those techniques have been now applied worldwide, because we made all the techniques in a book chapter and they're available to everybody. But in addition to that, I'm giving back to my big community for my whole life has been MIT. So I just funded an endowed professor chair, which will hopefully live forever. And so that's one way I've given back to my MIT community. So at my age, which I'm blessed every day is a gift, I'm beyond my life expectancy, and I'm enjoyed every day. And my golden retriever, Maisie, helps me enjoy this. But right now, I'm at the point that I want to spread the word. I want to spread the word to young people, and maybe high school STEM students, that they want to maybe pursue a career in STEM. And I want to spread the word to the public at large about model-based thinking. And my recent book, which I wrote during the COVID 2-year lockdown, is this book right here. And this is published by Informs. It's called Model Thinking for Everyday Life, How to Make Smarter Decisions. And so it's that kind of thing. And I'm now giving TV and radio shows about this and giving guest lectures about this too. I want to get model thinking spread around the broader public population. My key endeavor is 3 leash-free walks each day in woods and fields with my golden retriever Maisie, who is next to us now sleeping under a baby grand piano. Plus I also give invited talks to local colleges like Babson College, Wellesley College, and also to local high schools, particularly math departments for juniors and seniors. What is the experience that I had that taught me the most? It goes back to when I was a graduate teaching assistant at MIT many decades ago. Basically, I was in a large lecture hall. There must have been 300 students in the class, and I was going over some of the homework assignments in this applied probability class. And then a student asked me a very reasonable question. And I found out, I attempted to answer it, but I realized I wasn't answering it fully and comprehensively. And I was a little bit humiliated because people could see my discomfort and that my answer wasn't thorough. And I realized here I was presenting to hundreds of MIT students, and I hadn't studied the material well enough and deep enough. And I resolved for myself never ever to let that happen again. And I think I've been successful at that. Marquis Who's Who has been wonderful to me. For instance, a 22-story display in Times Square, New York. I was born in Bayside, Queens, New York, and Times Square in my whole life has always been the pinnacle. And to be in a 22-story thing there is wonderful. And they've done that. And they also put me on the cover of a book which is like 300 pages long that feature other people as well who they acknowledge in their contributions. Being a Marquis listee, to me, means I've achieved something I could never dream of. These are a very special group of people, and acknowledged for their contributions to society, to the work effort, and to all sorts of things, to the community. And to be one of those and acknowledges that is just invaluable to me.